हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय चैनल। आज हम करेंगे लव पोएम फॉर अ वाइफ बाय ए.के. रामानुजन। लेट अस रीड इट। Really, what keeps us apart at the end of the years is unshared childhood. You cannot, for instance, meet my father. He is some years dead. Neither can I meet yours. He has lately lost his temper and mellowed. In the transverse midnight gossip of cousins' reunions among brandy fumes, cashew, and the absences of grandparents, you suddenly grow nostalgic for my past, and I envy you, your village, dog ride, and the mythology of the saver crazy aunts. You begin to recognize me as I pass from ghost to real and back again in the albums of family rumors, in brothers' anecdotes of how noisily father bathed, slapping soap on his back. Four sources for a familiar sheep mouth look in a sepia wedding, picture of father in a turban, mother standing on her bare splayed feet, silver rings on her toes, and reduce the entire career of my recent unique self to the compulsion of some high sentence in his Smilesian diary, and your father gone irrevocably in age after changing every day your youth's evening. He will acknowledge the wickedness of no reminiscences, no, not the burning end of the cigarette in the balcony, pacing to and fro as you came to the gate late after what you thought was an innocent date with a nice Muslim friend who only hinted at touches. Only 2 weeks ago in Chicago, you and your brother James started one of you old drag out fights about where the bathroom was in the backyard, north or south of the well, next to the jackfruit tree in your father's house in Alepe. Sister-in-law and I were blank cut out, fitted to our respective slots in a room. Really, nowhere as the two of you got down to the floor, I draw blueprints of a house from memory of everything from newspaper to the backs of envelopes and road maps of the United States that happened to flap in the other room in a midnight wind. You wagered heirlooms and husband's earrings on earnings on what the uncle in Kuwait would say about the bathroom and the well and the dying by now dead tree next to it. Probably only the Egyptians had it right. Their kings had sisters for queens to continue the incests of childhood into marriage. Or we should do as well meaning Hindus did. Betroth us before birth, forestalling separate horoscopes and mothers' first periods, and wed us in the oral cradle, and carry marriage back into the namelessness of childhoods. जो इसको एनालिसिस इसका स्टार्ट करते हैं. दिस इज़ द फर्स्ट ऑफ टू पोएम्स ऑफ द सेम टाइटल. इट इज़ टेकन फ्रॉम रिलेशंस, जो कि 1971 में पब्लिश हुई थी. रामानुजन्स सेकंड कलेक्शन. दिस 84 लाइन पोएम इज़ one of the poet's strongest. It is an exploration of a marital relationship which can be described as uneasy, if not difficult. The first stanza begins with a clear thesis statement. Thesis statements means जिसमें argument होता है. Really, तो ये फर्स्ट stanza में ये लाइन है. Really, what keeps us apart at the end of the years is unshared childhood. ये कारण बता रहे हैं कि हमारी जो मैरिज है वो अगर हम अपनी शेयर करेंगे ना चाइल्डहुड को तो वो बहुत अच्छी हो जाएगी. ये कोई तो मतलब इलॉजिकल सी चीज़ है. द रीज़न ऑफ द पोएम इट वुड सीम गोज़ ऑन टू इलस्ट्रेट दिस स्टेटमेंट टू वर्क इट आउट विद एग्जांपल्स एंड इंस्टांसेस. सारे उसमें इसी बात के को बताने के लिए सारे एग्जाम्पल इंस्टांसेस दिए गए हैं इस सारी पोएम में, इसी चीज़ को बताने के लिए, इसी चीज़ को पक्का करने के लिए कि अनशेयर्ड चाइल्डहुड जो है वो रीज़न है उनकी मैरिज अच्छा ना होने का. At the end, once again, the poet returns to this theme by saying that the only way out, perhaps, was the Egyptian one, wherein brother and sisters married one another. On the face of it, though, this thesis, जो thesis means जो theory है, जो भी बात बोली गई, is not rational. ये ठीक नहीं है. How can a shared childhood be necessary for a couple to have a successful marriage? If this were the requirement, then no marriage could possibly be happy, even that of the Egyptian pharaohs. After all, even brothers and sisters have different experiences, often growing up not together but worlds apart. Something like this is illustrated in the next couple of stanzas, in which the poet shows how the wife is enthusiastic about the husband's childhood and vice versa. वाइफ हस्बैंड के लिए, हस्बैंड वाइफ के लिए एंथुजियास्टिक है उसकी चाइल्डहुड जानने के लिए. तो ईच हैज़ गॉट इट सेकेंड हैंड. Notice, as a contrast, how the poet uses the first word I in this poem, not his usual he, when he speaks of the couple. The title confirms the autobiographical element by affirming that the poem is for the poet's wife. In the process of debating their childhood, the poem exposes a rich load of images discovered from the pasts of both the poet and his wife. काफ़ी चीज़ें उजागर होती हैं उसमें. Now we will concentrate on the poem's argument. As the descriptions of the past start to get more and more detailed, we notice a certain unpleasantness, a drifting apart even. Clearly, the past is never easy to evoke. है ना? We are likely to disagree with other people's reconstructions of it. It is impossible, it would seem, to discover exactly what happened. Inevitably, the wife reduces the husband's entire career to some remark his father made in his diary. Smilesian refers to Samuel Smiles, a writer much admired by a certain class of Indian gentlemen a couple of generations ago. Similarly, the speaker makes a dig at his wife's father, how he paced up and down the balcony, cigarette in hand, waiting for his daughter's return. The later means girl, had gone out with a Muslim friend who only hinted at touches. Again, we find a rather ironic use of innocent here. In the next stanza, the poet brings in his wife's brother, James. How this time it is the brother and sister who quarrel over their childhood. But leaving out the nature or the content of this quarrel, मतलब हम इसमें ज़्यादा बात नहीं करेंगे. What does it do for the central argument of the poem? That the lack of shared childhood keep husband and wife apart. There are one or two lines in this stanza which strengthen this argument. For example, how the poet and his sister-in-law, जो कि जेम्स की वाइफ है, are completely left out of this dog fight between brother and sister because neither of them has any idea of where the bathroom was in the backyard. तो जो क्या बोलते भाई बहन है ना, वो लड़ रहे हैं आपस में. जो बहन का हस्बैंड है वो भी चुप है, जो हस्बैंड की जो भाई की वाइफ है वो भी चुप है. उनको कुछ आइडिया नहीं है कि क्या हो रहा है. बट most of this last half of the poem seems actually to go against the main argument. मेन आर्गुमेंट जो था ना, उससे तो इस सारी फाइट का कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है. What is illustrated is not so much how husband and wife grow apart because they don't have a shared childhood, but how even a shared childhood is not conducive to a good relationship. अब देखो ना, भाई बहन ने तो एक ही जैसा चाइल्डहुड शेयर किया है, लेकिन फिर भी उनका रिलेशनशिप यहाँ पे उनकी लड़ाई हो रही है. If anything, these stanzas suggest the opposite of the central argument. Brother and sister will make pretty bad spouses. If that is the case, the initial claim of the poem is failed and its conclusion is unconvincing too. ओके नाउ थोड़ी सी इसमें ये डिस्कशन किया गया है कि पोएम जो है ना, इसमें कोई लॉजिकल कंसिस्टेंसी नहीं है, बट गुड पोएम्स इन वट एवर ट्रेडिशन हैव टू बी लॉजिकली कंसिस्टेंट होनी चाहिए, कंसिस्टेंट होनी चाहिए, तो यही बात इसमें की गई है. चलो, थैंक यू सो मच. प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब माई चैनल.